Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome into the Back to 12 podcast. I am RC Maxfield alongside Lyle Leong Jr. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're giving you weekly podcasts here, but also daily Texas Tech videos, even in this. Well, Lyle, there's a lot of words I would want to use to describe this Texas Tech men's basketball season, but I will save it because you may be listening with your children. But be sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll keep it real here, and that's exactly what we're going to do on today's podcast. I've already told Lyle I'm probably going to need to go on my soapbox maybe 2 or 3 times. Lyle's going to guide the ship. We're going to keep it real with you guys. Again, it's never personal what we're going to say, but I think some of these things just have to be said when it comes down to it about this Texas Tech men's basketball team that is now 0-8, and it has gone, Lyle, officially from bad to worse because now Pop Isaac is injured as well. But before we get too much into it, how you doing, my guy?
Oh man, blessed to be in your presence. And I don't know the dude that said it, but if you're listening, hide your wives, hide your children. It's gonna get real today. So definitely excited about the podcast and just to talk about, what's going on and kind of have some fun. I'm not gonna lie. I like to see my brother here get upset sometimes. So it's gonna be a good show, but I think it's he speaks nothing but the truth and in our humble opinions. But I think it's gonna be a good show, and we get some more subscribers. It'll be a great day for us. So we're getting close to 2K. Y'all go ahead and help us do that. And like I said, we got a ball in progress. I know we said it's been a minute, but I'm just waiting on these guys. I don't want to rush these guys off the road to sign a ball. They're trying to get these last signees, to get the season kicked off, kind of get up in the rankings. So stay tuned. It's gonna be a good one, man. Like I said, I'm blessed to be in my brother's presence here.
I know there's going to be some people that say I don't speak the truth or anything. It's my truth, at least. I'll tell you that much. And I know not everybody's going to agree with me, and that's totally okay. But let's jump into this, Lyle. As last night, Texas Tech, I don't think there's any other way to say it, an embarrassing loss at home to West Virginia, 76-61. For those that didn't know, West Virginia came in 1-6 last night. To the USA. Obviously, Texas Tech was 0-7, and there's no other way to say it other than Texas Tech laid a complete egg for the final 33 minutes of this game. You scored 46 points in the final 33 minutes of the game. You laid an egg. Obviously, you see the thumbnail, bad to worse. Really, it's about Pop at this point. And, on the Twitter spaces I had after the game, Lyle, my buddy Tobias brought up, why rush Fardaws back? Why rush Pop back? There's some people in my mentions on Twitter, Lyle, saying, oh, you have a chance to make the NCAA tournament. Have you watched this team? Have you watched them? Because if you truly think that, you are not watching Texas Tech basketball this year. Lyle and I disagree on this front, and that's totally fine. I think there's some dudes that are talented on this team. Right? Like, he agrees there's maybe a couple. I think there's actually some talent on this team. I actually think the coaching staff is pretty solid. But damn it, here's the thing. You can have talented dudes and you can have talented coaches. It doesn't mean you're going to have a good team. It's that simple, right? If there's not buy-in from each and every individual, all the way from Mark Adams to the last GA, you're not going to win games. And you're seeing a prime example of that. Are injuries a problem? Yeah, let's be real about it. But if you're going to come on here and say in the comments, and I know there's going to be at least one person, Lyle, and it's going to trigger me all day, that's going to say that, oh, if Fardaws was healthy and if Pop was healthy for the whole game, you win. Bullshit. No, you don't. You don't. Fardaws does not change the outcome of that game. You got thoroughly outmatched on the boards. You didn't put up any kind of fight. Lyle, they almost had as many defensive rebounds as Texas Tech had total rebounds last night. Texas Tech had 27 total rebounds against West Virginia. The Mountaineers had 25 defensive rebounds. That doesn't include their 19 offensive rebounds. You got thoroughly outclassed. You got outcoached. You got outplayed. You got out effort. Everything in between, right? It was an embarrassing performance, and I'm kind of just done with trying to push this narrative almost that, hey, maybe this ship will turn around. I don't know if it will. We just need to be honest with ourselves. Like, you're not good. And that is okay. Just accept it at this point. Find some positives. I agree. You got to find some positives in this, just like anything in life, right? But also, like anything else in life, Lyle, you got to be honest with yourself. And this team isn't good. Stop blaming it on you. Stop blaming it on injuries. Blame it on the lack of adjustments. Blame it on some of the effort. Blame it on the scheme. Blame it on tangible things that actually impact basketball games at a very high level. And I'm not saying that injuries don't impact them, but let's face it, you didn't have Fardaws from the jump. You should have been preparing to play without him all year long. Don't use Fardaws as an excuse right now. Pop, I get it, but also he had 4 shots last night. 4 before he got hurt. If he's your best player, there's no reason why he shouldn't have at least 12 shots minimum every game. And he was nowhere near on pace for that. Lyle, I give up the rest of my time to you.
Hey man, first off, I want to, and I know y'all gonna hate me for it, but I do got to shout out Bobby Huggies. Got
As
my
you should.
master,
It's
got
about
my
damn
master's
time he's in the
from,
Hall of Fame.
got my master's from West V, so I got a little love for West V. Also took care of me while I was a GA. And I wasn't his GA. So shout out to Huggies. He's a great dude first and foremost. But like we talked about, man, I think the biggest part is should the coaches get a brunt of this? Absolutely. They got to get the brunt of that, and they've got to handle that and what they thought. They want to change up the offense a little bit, try to get players that fit what they wanted to do, and it hasn't been working. But at
That's
the
an
same time,
understatement.
yeah, yeah. But at the same time, like I said, I'm always gonna be a player, a former player. So I'm gonna give my perspective, and as well as the coaches, those guys got to perform at the end of the day. Pop had 4 shots, but at the same time, I mean, like this dude just the offense is really he runs around, we pass it, we set some screens, and then Pop gets the ball and throws up a shot at the last minute, tries to go through. So I do think the offense is stinky, but at the same time, those guys got to step up and make plays. We never get to celebrate Tech beating Texas if Crabtree doesn't make that play, because that's not a great call by Graham. That Graham call, by the way, was really a horrible call, but people made plays. So as coaches, at the end of the day, people got to understand coaching is a guessing game. When you're making those adjustments, it's really a guessing game. I guess that this is going to work because you're doing this. I guess, but at the end of the day, these players have got to step up and they've got to make plays. And the mindset being at D1, I use myself as an example. The minute that I knew that the person in front of me, for any reason, gave me an opportunity to step in that light, I'm taking it. And I took it and never looked back. And I just don't think we see that hunger out of these guys. There's no one out there saying, well, I'm going to take your spot or I'm going to do this. I'm here for it. Like, I just don't, I think they're comfortable, to be honest. I don't think
Why
that
do you think
there's,
that is? Like, just again, this is just your opinion. Like, there's no right or wrong
honestly,
answer here. It's just kind of your opinion.
my opinion, why I think they're comfortable is I don't think they're good. It's just like, I'm gonna say it because I'm gonna say it, but like Eddie B, Eddie Britton, I thought he couldn't catch, so I never felt uncomfortable with him being in front of me. Now, when I was on the other side with Crabtree and Crabtree was in front of me, that's a different story. I had to show up every day because I knew I would never play if I didn't bring 130%. So I just think at being comfortable right now, there's no one out there that they're like, I could take his spot. At any time, the person behind could be like, yeah, I'm just as good as him. And so I think when you have that mindset, um, that's where our team is being comfortable with a couple of bad breaks here and there. But like I said, there's hasn't been anyone. Pop. Yeah, Pop has gone out there and made points, but he hasn't, to me, in my opinion, he hasn't really led the team. Scoring points and being a leader on the team and guiding the team and leading the team is 2 different things. So
You think that's because he's a freshman, though? Like, I feel like that could be difficult I guess he's
no,
19.
I don't,
Like,
because
okay.
like I said, I play with so many people that were in that same role that had that mentality. So I mean, is it because he's freshman? Probably so. But at the end of the day, you got to get past that excuse and you got to make it happen, man. If you want to be a part of a winning team, if you want to make the NCAA tournament, if you want to be a great player, you got to make that happen. Like I said, Crab was a freshman. When he won the Blitnikoff, he was a leader on our team. It didn't matter how old he was, what he was trying to do. If you've been given that responsibility, and I tell my players that all the time. Everybody wants to be the best player. Everybody wants to score 20 points. Everybody wants to be Kobe Bean Bryant, Steph Curry. Everybody wants to be that. But you go watch them dudes play. And I know I'm, comparing these kids to greats. They're young. But I'm just saying at the end of the day, you got to take control if you're the best player. And I don't think that they know who the best player is from a team wise. Us looking at it, we'll say, yeah, Pop scores. But as them, I don't think they see a best player. And until they get somebody that's going to be the leader. I mean, on each team, someone has a leader that's coming through, making plays on any team. So I think that they've got to find a leader, someone to step up. And, so they got to start making each other uncomfortable as far as, I don't know if it's in practice, challenging each other, whatever the case may be. Mark Adams putting in more people. I don't know. But I just feel like everyone's comfortable, like, they're comfortable at where they're at. And I think, like I tell you all the time, I know you say they're really talented, but I don't see it, and I played,
That's where you
when
and
I
I
was,
disagree. Yeah.
yeah. And even when I was in college playing, like, did they have some talented guys on the basketball team? Yes. But they came to the rec center and got beat by the football team. So a talent to me is I don't know. I don't think that any of these kids are sorry. Anybody that's playing Division I basketball, let me repeat, is not sorry. They are very good, but I just think that we've hyped up these kids to be, because they got a 4-star or because of this, that,
Yeah.
and other. We're like, man, these kids, and the expectation we set was like stupid high for kids that aren't proven.
That's the point I want to get to, because I think the main thing when I look at this team, and again, you and I disagree on the talent aspect of it, which is fine. I think that's honestly what makes this podcast great, is we're never going to have the same opinion about everything. But that's the point, that last point you made there, where we overhype them. I think when it comes down to it, I don't think you can put all the blame in terms of what's going on here on the players, coaches, and even people in the program. I think you have to put some blame on, people like me, people that cover this team, cover the program and everything, because I think it's ingrained in our brain now, and rightfully so to some degree, that Texas Tech should be a top 16 basketball team year in and year out because of what they've done the past 5 years. And if in the tournament, and obviously that's excluding the COVID year where there wasn't one, you're literally a Kyler Edwards layup away against Arkansas from going to 4 consecutive Sweet 16s, 4 consecutive, right? That's a mindset to it. So I think when it came down to it, and again, I'm not saying this is the wrong way to think, but I also think it may be unrealistic, and it's not even it is unrealistic. You cannot every year in this kind of environment in college athletics, the one that we live in now, where everything is changing, not yearly, but daily, by the hour, and by the minute, right? You have to recruit these guys by the minute nowadays with the portal. I don't know if it's realistically fair to say, all right, Texas Tech is going to be this year in and year out, right? I think the perfect example is Kansas State right now. Kansas State was projected to be dog shit. They're supposed to be 10th in the conference. What are they right now? They're tied for first, right?
But
That's
why do
the
you think that
example.
is?
And that's kind of my point. You get a new guy in there, you get some fresh blood, you get a new outlook and everything. And I'm not saying Texas Tech should do that, but I'm saying that's how quick things can change in college athletics now. It can be that quick. And it goes both ways. It can go from the bottom to the top, and you can go from the top to the bottom that quick. And I think you have to remember that mindset and not just think year in and year out. Texas Tech is a top 16 program, and take that second weekend for granted when you have that mindset. And I think that may be part of this, both within the program and outside of it. But also at the same time, you mentioned it in your tangent too, Lyle. They took a swing when it came to trying to change this roster, and holy shit, did they strike out. They struck out on 3 pitches, and the fastballs were right down the middle of the plate at 90 miles an hour, and they whiffed. They just whiffed. That's what happened.
My question for you is just Kansas State. Was their recruiting class way better than Kansas State?
They got more impactful guys in the transfer portal for sure. I mean, the guy that changed it, and the crazy part is Texas Tech had a chance to get him, which is wild, was Keontae Johnson. And If you don't know who that is, that's the guy that passed out on the floor when he was at Florida and everybody was scared, like, oh, he's never going to get to play basketball again. He was one of the best players in the SEC. He got medical clearance. It was down to like Texas Tech, K-State, and another school. I forget what it was, but it was really those two schools. And Texas Tech decided to go a different direction. And he ended up at K-State. Now, am I saying that Keontae Johnson is going to change your 0-8 season around? No. One guy is not going to change that. But you look at some of the guys that Texas Tech could have potentially kept and who they kind of slotted them in for, I can't help but think, and some people aren't going to like this, but let's just say this is a hypothetical, right? Let's say you get Keontae Johnson. Let's say you keep Terrence Shannon Jr. and you keep Kevin McCullough. How vastly different are we talking about Texas Tech basketball right now?
But my question to you is like more so like talent wise this year. Do you think Texas Tech got more talent than K-State? Or do
No,
you think they're about equal?
I think it's probably equal, maybe K-State by like
And that
0.5% or something.
and I just saying that to say my point. It comes down to performance. That's the difference. K-State cats are performing. Tech dudes are not. And so that's what I'm saying. We put all this on. I get it. Coaches got to make adjustments. I get all that. But the difference is these guys are performing at K-State. Our guys are not performing.
Do you
They're
think that's
equally
because of the
young.
scheme, though? Like, to your initial point that we just talked about, they tried to change things up. I think K-State did a really good job of where maybe they're not the most talented team in the Big 12, but they did a really good job of identifying guys in the portal, identifying guys at the high school ranks that's like, all right, this is the scheme we're going to run. Yeah, this guy may be more talented, but this guy fits our scheme better. And they went after the guy that fit the scheme better. Whereas Texas Tech, it almost felt in a way it was like, we're going to change our scheme up and we're going to go after the guy that shoots really well, but may lack on defense, even though the whole fundamental base of this whole entire program and operation is built on defense.
I think that's a twofold in a sense. Like I don't want to take anything. I think coach has done a great job at K-State. Obviously, you don't win.
Yeah, Jerome Tang is a stud.
Without making those adjustments. But at the same time, from a coaching, from a player standpoint too, you recruit guys that you think are supposed to be within your program. Doesn't mean they always come and do what they've been doing or do what they're supposed to do. Like I said, there's been ample dudes that came to Tech to play receiver and they play cornerback, or there's been dudes that came to stud cornerbacks and they end up playing receiver. You know what I'm saying? And even like Crab came to play quarterback, won Blitnikoff twice. So to me, it comes down to, these guys are getting guys that they see on film that are supposed to come in and do what they do. And like I will never change my thought process, and maybe I'm stuck in my ways, but you pay me $25K and you bring me in and you give me a scholarship, you give me money, and you bring me in to fit your system, I better find a way to fit that system. And I just think that those guys, maybe a guy or two are not the best defensive guys, but there's no way that these guys, like, you guys got to remember, this is all they do all day is watch film and watch recruits. And there's 2,700 people that help them pick out their recruits. It's a big, a lot of people, and I just saying, I don't think that they all get on there and you got 27 people that say, we're going to get this kid, but he doesn't fit our scheme. Like, there's no way that these kids have to, maybe you miss on one or two, but like I said, they know what they're trying to get and what they're trying to get. And on film, you may see that. But like I said, it just comes down to performance. And like I said, I can't state that enough. There's so many dudes like Emo, like Eric Morris. He's 5'6". There's no way that he goes and you say, man, this kid's going to be pretty good for us to score a lot of touchdowns. He had to come perform. And so I've seen so many kids that weren't up to par, didn't get the stars that performed, that showed up. So like I said, they just got to find a way, man. 25K, listen, Mark, give me 25K. I promise you, I promise you, when they make that skip pass, I'll be there. And I just think it's, anticipating, like, they're going to do a skip pass. They've done it 2,700 times before that, and kids still aren't getting it. How can you be a college athlete, be playing defense, and not realize, man, there's an open dude over there, and he's made more than 1 3 already. I maybe should pay attention and look for the skip pass. We haven't stole one skip pass yet. You know what I'm saying? I play receiver. I have 2,700 skip pass steals in high school, and it's different levels. But I mean, Jesus, like once you're sitting there after a while, you're like, dang, there's a dude standing right over here to my right, wide open. Let me keep an eye. Let
Yeah.
me keep an eye, you know? So
No,
it's
I
just
think you're
being, you know,
you're preaching what a lot of Tech fans want to hear on that front. I just can't get over you talked about portal guys, and I mean they whiffed on so many of them. I mean, I don't know if I've seen a school whiff on so many, and some of it is due to injury. I can admit that. Like Fardaws, he's a whiff just because of injuries. You just haven't seen him play enough, right? Like, okay,
right.
we'll forget that one. That's a pass in my opinion, right? But let's go through it. Devion Harmon, I don't think he's a whiff, but I don't think he lived up to the expectations that everybody thought for him. I think that that's fair to say. Jalen Tyson, I think I could make the argument that he is the guy that has lived up to the expectations that people had for him in the preseason from the portal. Kerwin Walton, whether that's because of playing time or whatever you want to call it, he hasn't lived up to expectations. Neither has Damarian Williams. Like you whiffed or didn't get what you thought you were getting from 5, maybe 4 of the 6 guys that you got in the portal, right? And then you look at it from a freshman perspective. And again, freshmen going to be ebbs and flows throughout their whole first year. That's fine. Pop, slam dunk, home run, whatever you want to call it. Grand slam type signing, right? Just he's been everything you can expect and more considering the circumstances. I think a guy that I think actually has played really well in limited minutes is Robert Jennings. He can be a frustrating player at times, but also he has a frustrating role, I'm sure, for him. I think he's played solid. I think you need to play Lamar Washington more. And the guy that I think people are most frustrated by on this entire roster is because of the lack of playing time. And you saw him last night against West Virginia is Elijah Fisher. And this is kind of where I want to switch things up in the podcast, Lyle. But before we do that, I want the people to let me know and let you know down in the comments their biggest frustration about Texas Tech men's basketball this year. Just let us know. Because I
I
feel
do
like
want to say one more
we forced
thing
it. Yeah, go ahead.
before we switch gears, though. And guys, y'all got to understand, too, a portal is a 50-50 chance. When a guy leaves the
If
University
that.
of North, if a guy leaves the University of Kansas to come to Tech, I'm sorry, guys, it's probably something going on. If a dude leaves North Carolina to come to Texas Tech or USC or any of those programs to come to Texas Tech, guys, it's a 50-50 chance. So understand when these portals, kids are leaving for reasons that are unknown. Yes, you may see them catch 20 balls. You may see him average 20 points a game, but transferring out the portal means for some reason you didn't make it, whether you didn't think you were good enough, whether you have problems with the coaches, whatever the case may be.
You
There
want to
is
make
an
more
issue.
money selfishly kind of deal, whatever it may
Yeah,
be. Yeah.
there is an issue with you when you're coming. Like, there's nothing wrong if you're getting, cheated out of spot. But most of these
True.
guys are not, and they're transferring because they're not where they think that they should be. And that's the problem. They think and not work and not think. So I'm sorry. Go ahead,
No,
RC.
you're good. We got about 8 minutes left in the podcast, and I wanted to spend the remainder of it and get your thoughts, Lyle. I'll say mine as well, where I think it's time. We've heard it all year long where this team is young, where that's just unequivocally false. If you look at the age of this team, it is middle of the pack in the NCAA. Sure, they've got some young guys that need to play pivotal roles, but overall, they're an average age team. I think at this point, if there's no rush to get Fardaws back, there's no rush for Pop to get back, I say to hell with it. And I say you play everybody that can potentially transfer next year because of that new transfer rule, right? They can still technically transfer, but they'll have to sit out a year if it's their second time transferring, right? I want to see every ounce of Elijah Fisher I can. I want to see every ounce of Lamar Washington I can, because I think these next 10 games in the Big 12, yes, you are trying to win, but also you need to see what you have for next year potentially and keep these guys in here, because I do think you have some solid pieces that are young. I can agree with that premise. But you have to see what the hell you have and not just let them sit on the bench. You have to get them actual valuable minutes in the Big 12. Let them get bloodied up and punched in the face a little bit. That's fine. But you need to see what you have before you go and say, oh, you're not good enough to be on this roster, this, that, and the other. Give them the chance, and now is the perfect opportunity to do that, because let's face it, you're 0-8 in the Big 12. You're not making the NCAA tournament. You're just not. So play the young guys and see what you got.
I agree, but then I differ a little bit in that scenario because, like I said, you go on a 10-game win streak, you're in, without a doubt. You win the NCAA. I mean,
How
you win
high are those odds?
You win the Big 12 tournament, you're in. So you still got
Sure.
opportunity. You still got plenty of opportunity. So I agree. Maybe getting those guys in a little bit, but to me, you start throwing those little guys in. To me, as a player, I'm thinking you're giving up for the season with a lot of season left, and so like I said, it'd be different if it was football. You lost 5 games, or you're not bowl eligible. Cool, put
Sure.
them in. But at this time, all it takes is these guys to click together, and you start throwing those younger guys in.
Maybe the younger guys make it click, though.
They might. No, I'm
I mean,
saying give them
it's
opportunity,
one thing they haven't tried yet.
but when you go all in, though, I'm just saying, as somebody has no
Sure.
banner that could have left, that came back to support your program, and then you start throwing them out. Like these
No
guys
doubt. No
too
doubt.
are fighting to go to the league and have their dreams being met too. So each game that they don't play is big for these guys at this point. So I definitely think get them in there. They got to do a better job of getting them in there. But like I said, they got to keep the faith too, because like I said, those guys still believe, whether it looks like it or not, whether we feel like they're giving effort or not. Those dudes still believe. There's no way that they show up and do all that they do and don't still believe that there's a small chance that they can get in. So I think, like I said, try some rotations. But like keep it in moderation. Don't just go crazy and let them. Hey, young
I think
guys,
that's fair.
this is
Yeah,
your
for sure. I'm
game.
not. I'm not saying like, hey, don't play Kevin O'Banner anymore,
Yeah,
but
no,
just
I know what you're saying.
but
Yeah.
get the guys just a little bit more. But I get where you're coming from
Agreed.
too. I think it could be a potential thing where it's like, hey, if this guy's playing bad and you're continuously playing him, it's not a good
Yeah.
look, kind of deal. But I get it for sure. Damn, man, I said it last night on the Twitter Spaces. If you would have told me on Christmas Day, because that was a month from yesterday, that Texas Tech would be 0-8 in the Big 12, if I were to tell you that, you would have reported me to Elon Musk on Twitter. You would have reported me to authorities. You would have called me mentally unstable. You would have called me every word possible to say this man is insane. But here we are. And
And
I never thought we'd be at this point.
I think too, we just got to sit back and be appreciative of teams that we had. And like
No
I said,
doubt.
that's one of the things for me, even like, moving into this space with you and doing the podcast, sometimes I look back and think about it, and I get caught up sometimes with, hey man, this is what's supposed to happen. Any year that you have a year like you have, especially make to the national championship, any of that stuff, man, is like a once in a lifetime experience,
No doubt.
not only for those players, but you as a fan. Like I said, I've been a Tech fan since I went there since I was 18 years old. I'm 35. I seen the national championship one time. I take the back track, had some national
Sure.
championships, but like I said, it hasn't been many. I haven't seen us in the college playoffs. We got to go to Sweet 16 a couple of times. Girls, we're still trying to get there, back there, and so I just think we get to the point where we watch and something happens and we assume, even for football. I talked to so many people. Yeah, man, next year, man, we're going to the playoffs. Like, chill. Like,
Yes.
so I just think like that we gotta, we want to expect, we gotta expect as fans, but at the same time, we gotta appreciate more and just be like, it may happen. We have the potential to do it, but nothing's promised. No matter how good you are, you look at the Lakers. And like I said, you like, man, I never thought I'd see LeBron not make the playoffs, or I never see
Yeah.
LeBron not, and it's here. You know what I'm saying? It's here. So you just
It's
gotta
wild.
appreciate the time that you had.
No, yeah, for sure. I think again, I mentioned a little earlier, I was part of the problem with that. I can admit it. I probably hyped this team up a little bit too much. And I think it probably goes back to your whole initial point right there, where it's the expectations for a program because of what they've done over the past half decade plus, where again, you're a layup away from going to 4 straight Sweet 16s. And not every team is built like that. Great teams still have down years. And I think in the end, this is probably what that is, because I think Texas Tech has too many resources and there's too many talented people within that program from the staff, players, ops, whatever it may be, for this to happen again. They're going to learn from it, but that doesn't mean that fans shouldn't be frustrated right now. That shouldn't mean that people that cover the team shouldn't be frustrated right now. I think that it goes a lot of ways, but I do think, again, if I could just get one point into your brain today, do not make anything you say on social media personal. Don't do that. That's not how that works. We're strictly judging these men between the lines. Anything else, I'm not doing that. That's not what we're doing here. We're strictly judging them on their performance, whether that's coaching or playing. That is it. We're not judging them as men off the floor because, damn it, Lyle and I do not have that kind of authority, and we don't want people doing it to us probably either, right? So that's what it comes down to, is know the line, do not cross it. But you have the right to be frustrated, and you have the right to voice your frustrations. Just do it in a way that is fair and non-personal. That's kind of how I want to end the podcast, Lyle. Lyle, where can everybody follow you on Twitter, my guy?
Hey, y'all can find me at Coach LLEONG. You can follow my main man RC at
RCMB323, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. Again, we're trying to build the channel up. We're getting ready for that football, as Lyle said. We're giving that football away that will be signed by coaches from Texas Tech football, but we're not going to take them off the road, obviously. Go get some recruits, and then we'll figure it out from there. But we'll be having an update very, very shortly for y'all on that front. Got the football. It's in the football training facility. Just got to wait for the coaches to get back to the 806. He's Lyle. I'm RC. For more Texas Tech news daily, when it comes to news, rumors, we've got you covered right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel. So hit that damn subscribe button